How often would you source if you were full-time FBA? Or how often are you sourcing if you are a full-time FBA selling books? Well, I'm talking about books for me, but I guess you could be doing something else. But in terms of my schedule right now, this is what it looks like. Basically, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday are the 3 days that I source. I occasionally source other days here and there, but rarely. And so we got 12 to 9 on Tuesday and Friday, and Saturday about 8 to 12. Those are rough numbers there. You know, it's not exact. I also go to the gym on Tuesday and Friday, so that cuts into that time. So it's more like an hour to 2 hours on Tuesday and Friday each. And then Saturday is yard sales, estate sales, and if there's any book sales going on. That's about it. I'm trying to get more into buying bulk now. You know, like I bought the bulk CDs. Hopefully I can find more sources like that to add to my current schedule. But I'm just wondering, you know, I like to think about, picture the future of me doing this with more time, putting more time into it. What would it look like for me? And I'm curious to know if you're doing it full time, more by yourself than hiring people, because that's a whole different conversation. But you know, if you're doing it by yourself, what's your schedule like? Do you keep a schedule, or does it kind of vary from week to week, day to day? For me, I would probably want to keep a schedule. This is kind of what it would. Now I left it blank, but for me, it would probably be you know, Monday through Friday. I'd probably want to source in the morning into the maybe 1 or 2 at most, and then have the rest of the day, afternoon and night to list. Or another option for me might be to source one day, so put in a lot of hours, you know, start kind of early, start maybe 9, 10 in the morning, go till maybe 3 or 4, clearly taking a lunch break, but source 4 or 5 hours, maybe more, maybe 6 hours, hit a lot of thrift stores, do that for one day, try to get a couple hundred books, a couple hundred items, then list all of them the next day, and source the next day after that. You know, it kind of depends, I guess, on if you like to do it all at once or if you like to break it up. And I don't really know which one would work for me. I haven't sourced for more than probably 4 hours. Going to a really long book sale that I might be there for like 2 hours straight of non-stop sourcing. My eyes start to hurt. I get really hungry. My neck starts to hurt because I'm looking like this at my phone, bending over, and then looking down at the books and going through them. So, you know, I've never sourced like 5, 6 hours straight. I don't know what that's like. So for me, it might be better to break it up, you know, unless I were to try to do those long stretches. You could even do a couple days, maybe like 2 days of like 8-hour days of sourcing, but I don't know if I'd be up for that. That's why I like the idea of finding other sources who can bring large quantities of books and CDs and VHS tapes and whatnot to you or to me, instead of me having to go out there, you know, every day and source, or every other day or every morning or whatever it might be. Now, when it comes to Fridays and Saturdays, that's a whole nother conversation, because Fridays is when the yard sales and estate sales start, and you can really hit those hard and, you know, get maybe like 10 or 15 of them in a day, depending on how many, especially on Saturday. And then Saturday, there's frequently the library sales, sometimes on Friday too, that you can go to for a few hours. And I've never done more than one on one day, but if you're doing it full time, I can imagine you go to one in the morning and then go to one after that, if there's going to be anything left, if they're nearby or close by. I'm curious to know if you're doing it full time, what your schedule is like, or if you're not doing it full time, how you would imagine your schedule to be, because I think it's important to think about that stuff. Because I think, you know, doing it part-time, it's almost kind of like a fun thing, and it's exciting and it's new, and making the sales is a blast. Taking a book that you buy for 50 cents or $1 and then flipping it and, you know, making 10, 20, 30 times the money that you paid is exhilarating, right? But I think that if and when you or I we go full-time with it, then it probably becomes a little bit more feels like probably a little more work than fun, I would imagine, because you have to do it, because you have to make money. But that's a whole other conversation that you could dive into about, well, when you go full-time, you should really have a lot of money saved. I don't think you should just jump right in when you're making the same amount of money that you're making at your job. You never know, you could burn out, you could get tired of it, you could, for whatever reason, not make as much money. I'm not sure, why, but there's a lot of reasons. So I just want to, think about, it's important because I want to, by myself, even on a part-time basis, I believe that I can, by the end of this year, or at least the beginning of next year, I think I can grow this to getting up to 20 sales a day. By next February, I absolutely want to be hitting 20 plus sales a day. I don't see why I can't, even by myself, especially building up that network of people who can give you a call, give you a text, an email, whatever, saying, I have a bunch of CDs, I got 500 CDs, I got 300 books, I got 1,000 books, I got a couple hundred VHS tapes, and you can go get it from those people. They can come drop it off for you, and for really inexpensive. Supplementing your sourcing with people that can give you items in bulk is a great way to not have to go out there so much and spend so much time scanning through everything that is not profitable. Is a great way to not have to go out there and spend hours and hours searching for things, which is what I do now. But if you can have stuff come to you, then you don't have to get in your car and go drive and go to different places and etc. And especially if you start to know your sources and you know that they're sending you good stuff, then well, if they send me these CDs or these books, that I at least can get X amount of or I can get certain percentage of them that are worth sending into FBA, and the rest I can get rid of somehow. So I think that's a great way to supplement it. That's something that takes time, though. Some people are better at it. I'm not that great at it. I'm trying to work on it. But that all plays into going full time, being able to have enough items to sell. For me, full time is probably about around 25 sales a day is where I would need to be to maintain the income that I need and want. So I want to do much more than that, though, to be honest. I have a 10,000 limit. I think if I build my inventory, I'd have to be sending in a lot of inventory. So I've got to build up my sources and get better at and more efficient at sourcing and listing, getting more items coming to me. But I have a 10,000 limit, storage limit, and I know based upon what I do now, even if I get to 5,000 or 6,000, that I can be hitting that 20, 25 sales a day goal. But getting to 10,000, oh man, I can imagine it's going to be more like 50 sales a day, even more. So I know the income potential is there. It's just whether or not I can get enough inventory every month to send in, because the more inventory you send in, the bigger your inventory grows, the more you sell. A lot of those, or some of those, are going to be long-term or long tail, so they're going to take longer. They're going to take 6+ months to a year, sometimes longer to sell, because they're going to hopefully sell for more money. That's the idea. So some of those will sit, but you'll have those in the middle that'll sell less than 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and those that'll sell within 3 months. So you're going to be turning over your inventory pretty fast. I think that for me, just under 10% is probably a good, or around 10% every month selling your inventory is pretty good. So I figure, 10,000, you're selling 10%, that's 1,000 a month, 1,000 items a month, which is more than 30 sales a day. So these are, again, rough numbers, but I think that's doable if I can get enough inventory, enough sources rather, because I just don't have the time now. But the thing that amazes me about it is about the FBA business with books, is how much I can actually do on a very part-time basis, and how much I could potentially do on a full-time basis. Not even going like 40 hours a week of sourcing, but just potentially, instead of doing 8 or 10 hours a week, I would do 20 hours a week. That would be huge. I could, instead of sending in 300 books a month, I could be sending in 700, 800 books a month, books, CDs, VHS tapes, and that would just, if I was sending in 600, let's say 600 items a month, that's 7,200 items a year. I only have 2,360 items in inventory right now. So if I'm sending in that many, I know that my inventory is going to grow dramatically, and I'm going to be selling so much more. So anyway, I'm kind of going off the topic here of how often you would source if you're full time, but just all of it ties in, and I like to think about this stuff because I'm envisioning next year, as the income goes up a lot, that I'll be able to, have that extra money and be able to free up some more time. At least that's the idea. And it's just all a big adventure and should be a lot of fun. So let me know in comments if you're going full time as an individual and what your schedule is like in terms of sourcing. Because listing you can do whenever, right? You can do it any time of the day. If you're a night owl, you can do it in the middle of the night, you can do it late at night, etc. But sourcing, there's only certain times. You can't go sourcing at midnight unless you're going to a 24-hour Walmart or something like that. But in terms of books and the stuff that I sell, it's going to have to be during the day, and it's kind of like work hours. So, what's it going to be? Is it going to be every day, every other day? Break it up, do big chunks of sourcing? I guess it depends on the individual. So let me know. And as always, remember, keep booking.